All right, good evening, guys. Kenneth Tortoise Capital Nightly Strategy Podcast for August 2nd, 2024. Start with the hybrid swing, 30-minute charts. This is Alcoa. So we had two positions on from the 27th, closed well today. It gapped up and added a third position. It closed very well at the top of the day, so we're holding that one. And we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 on this one. Six on this one, and 3 on that one. So we're holding 22R on Alcoa. That will cover some of the adverse gaps that we had today. AI gap down and go. So I got short here, standard risk. It reversed sharply and it took a fractional loss. Caterpillar, no trade. I missed the afternoon run up. That one has some potential for tomorrow. If we get a recovery in XLI, this holding support at the 5-day anchored VWAP with a nice strong recovery, that looks very promising for a retest here. But we've got to see strength in XLI, and then Caterpillar can become a play. Cliff got short on the collapse and a breakdown through the Bollinger Band mean. Standard risk 1R. That had a nice close as well. So that could be influenced by a gain in XLI tomorrow. CVS, this is the gap down and go and standard risk, and that thing just absolutely collapsed. And that gave us almost 6R as it collapsed through the 30 and the 270 anchored VWAP. So when you add to it the collapsing 5-day and 30-day VWAPs, this has a lot of opportunity to fail in a large way. Not sure why that's not showing. That later. All right, diamonds. Big gap down, a drop, but it only filled a fraction. So fractional gain on that one. Disney had a nice COTA 2, standard risk, holding 2.5 to 3R at the close, 2R at the close. So we'll hold on to that one. I'm liking that trade. Devon Energy, fractional gain on the OWL entry on the rollover. Emerging market. This also was a gap in reverse. This gapped up, rolled over, came through the VWAP, got short, but then it didn't really fail further. So fractional gain. EWW, no trade. There's a trade on the 3-minute, but not on the 30. Brazil took the 1, 2, 3 off the low when it crossed the VWAP and broke through the PSAR, and it ran up almost to the Bollinger Band mean up in here. ran up into the Bollinger Band main, but I was too slow to exit and only kept a fraction, maybe half an hour. Intel missed the gap and drop and the rebound. That should be in play tomorrow. If we see a strong market with strong tech, then the fact that it held at the 5-day anchored VWAP and the 30 will be very favorable. And we wouldn't be surprised to see a run back up to 45.50. IP, fractional gain, well, actually almost an R. Now I look at it on the collapsing dragon and slight recovery. IYR, the gap and drop, and I'm going to hold that one for another day. I like the collapse in real estate. The gap down broke through the belly of the dragon over here, and it closed poorly. So we're holding 1R, and I'm holding that for a continuation tomorrow. Coca-Cola, collapsing dragon for 2R, holding it overnight. Regional banks, collapsing dragon for an R. McDonald's missed the short. 3M, still studying it. This is the second day that we've been tracking it. I like that it's holding support. If I see strength in XLI tomorrow, then this one has a nice base being established. Merck, no trade. Microsoft, I took the 1, 2, 3 off the bottom, a morning hook when they crossed over the VWAP, and we're holding an R overnight. Marijuana, we closed yesterday's Kata 2 for 2R. Nike, no trade. NVIDIA, no trade. I missed the 1, 2, 3. Clean energy. This was a big gap and drop. So we got short when it crossed the 5-day VWAP, standard risk. Here's the reversal of the R10. So we take the exit at the skin of the dragon, and that gives us about 0.5. We'll take that one. Palantir's one we got burned on. This is one I had a opinion about this, that the 1, 2, 3 could continue. So we took a speculative overnight and got burned for minus 2R. And then I did not have the zero state, which would have allowed me to get it all back. Just couldn't get out of my own way. Rivian, same thing. We were holding an R, and it reversed against us in the gap for to lose half an R. And then I didn't have the fortitude to stay short. SOUN, no trade. SPY was a big gap down, but then felt like some recovery buying, but we'll see. Treasuries, same thing. Walmart, no, I'm sorry, Tesla. Tesla was another one I get murdered on. I had an opinion on this one. We were holding it from here with 2R in hand, and the gap was a 6R adverse gap, so we ended up losing 3R on that one, and then didn't have the zero state to be able to trade the long side. Walmart. That was a gap and drop collapsing dragon. We picked up 3R with a standard exit, no overnight risk. US Steel, we closed yesterday's long for just a fraction. I should have done better preserving that really nice move yesterday, but was holding out for more. XLI, this one we got short yesterday on the gap and dropped through the Bollinger Band mean. It continued to fail today. I learned my lesson. I cashed it near the close today. And that one gave us back 4, 5, 6. So that one took care of those adverse gaps. And meanwhile, Alcoa was feeding the bulldog for us. So some learning points in there. All right, let's take a look at sniper trade of the day. This one is in. Why is that showing over here? All right, this is Alcoa. So we got an additional intraday trade on that one. Here was the open in this little region when it broke out in the direction of our longer term swing. I got long with the standard risk box, generally followed the R10 up until it peaked and exited at the PSAR for an additional 3R. Here's the COTA 2 reentry on a breaking of the PSAR. There's the PSAR flip. There's your standard risk anchored to the VWAP itself. And that gave us an extra 1R, so an additional 4R to go along with the nice 22R swing trade. Here's a quiz for you. This is I was working on a 10-minute in EWW today, eating my own cooking. We were talking about that with the small group coaching yesterday, so I wanted to demo some EWW on 10-minute charts for you. So here was the close yesterday. Here's the open. There's a one, I treated that as a 1, 2, 3 entry. This is an R5 because I'm using 10 minutes. I want a wider stop. So that's actually 2 R10 boxes. Here's the peak of the R10. So I take the exit at the skin of the dragon. That gives me about 0.5. This continues to roll over. So now you notice when the R10 is rolling down, every one of these blue circles is something that you should be able to name and explain what's going on. Like the RL30 crossing the SMA 30, the peak of the R10 touching the skin of the dragon, the RLCO outside the river. This is the RLXD. Here's the PSAR flip. Here's the beginning of the owl move as the RL30 rolls over. Here's where it crosses the SMA 30 on the downside. Here's where the R10 crosses the Bollinger Band main. Here's where fall goes to winter. Here's the bottoming out of the R10, the bottoming out of the R30. Here's the RL10 touching the dragon, crossing the dragon, price breaking through the dragon and hitting the PSAR flip, R10 crossing the Bollinger Band mean, R10 crossing the VWAP. Here's the Bollinger Band mean testing the VWAP before it fails. And here's where the spring turns to summer. This is the double stack of a R10. So that whole thing is an R5. That's one R10 and that's the second R10. So that's what a quiz should look like. I'm putting together a workshop that has several hundred quizzes like that will help you with your chart reading. I will hang a note about that this weekend. All right, let's take a look at the traders today. Here's Eugene with the 1, 2, 3 on the OR5. There's his OR5. It's also a 1, 2, 3 entry, standard risk to the bottom, to the low of the day. And he takes the skin of the dragon exit for 3R. Perfectly executed. He was looking at this as the breakthrough of the PSAR as a possible second position. He would not have lost money on that one. So you could be watching in Bitcoin, as volatile as that is intraday. You got this peak and that peak. That makes this a COTA 2 to the downside. And there's a PSAR flip to the downside. You would not lose money on either one of those trades. All right, so George, I want you to take a look at some continuation patterns. This one I think is a little late getting in. The collapsing dragon entry, I guess, is this one. So we could be short from here. When you get short here, this is supposed to fail. Instead, it reverses up, closes, and then opens it. When it hits the VWAP there, just take it there for half an hour. Now, when this whole complex rolls over, though, and comes back through where you exited, I think there's a re-entry possible right here. When this whole thing rolls over, either there or here, and you still get that nice sweet move. And we'll see that intraday reversal a couple more times here. This is a short, which then gives you a bit of a gain. We might be able to scratch it here. This, by the way, is a nice 1, 2, 3 on the long side. And if you don't get this one, you could get that one at the skin of the dragon. This is, notice all of the higher lows, and the VWAP is stable. That means that those prices there are not pulling the VWAP down. There's a lot of buying pressure near that VWAP, and that would give you access to that trade. And you'll see the same thing in DIA. Yeah. And also in SOUN. I'm not as fond of SOUN, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a specialty play that's based on selling chips to NVIDIA for AI. So this one is always going to be really wickedly volatile. But I want you to notice that when it gaps down, big sell-off, and then reverses and then closes above the VWAP, and the VWAP is rising and you're getting rising lows intraday, that looks like a washout sale. And that makes this an SSC style of a trade in here. Hard to get on 30-minute bars, but it's there. You have to play the 1, 2, 3. Take a look at the daily. All right. All right, bullish normal. Starting to see some more weakness now on the 2-day and 10-day. The overall trend is still bullish normal. And risk on is still favorable to the long side, but today was a test of the stops today. So this is a market that is definitely slowing down. Have a a good number of reasonable auto framers here. You got 5-1 in UNH, 4-1 in Tesla, 7.5-1 in Home Depot. We got to go respect that, especially since it's a channeling and an overreaction and a doji today. That would be an ideal setup. And it's had sort of a washout trade today where it's made 10-day and 30-day lows. That could be a very nice reversal and swing hook. Look at that one. Absolutely. We're going to add Home Depot to our mix. Great American company like Caterpillar, and we're not afraid. That's a 10% sale on Home Depot. Let's go down and buy some tools. All right, in the ETFs, it's a buyer's market with a lot of auto framers. Some clear winners. You're still in the defensive plays in gold, energy, oil, uranium. Some weakness in treasuries and healthcare. Had some 551Ws, meaning an up day in EFA, Japan, NASDAQ, and technology. So I'm looking for technology to pick up the pace tomorrow. Lots of auto framers, reasonable number of squeezes in, especially in Tesla and Intel would be, and Home Depot is where I'm going to make my plays tomorrow. Fall starting to exert itself, still quite a lot in the summer on both sides of the aisle. More weakness today, just a few strong ones in the energy sector. But that feels like a washout on the turnaround Tuesday. So we'll see how that manifests tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a very good trading day. And we're still holding the top edge of the river, but this is starting to get wobbly. You can see the RL30 showing weakness, the RL10 showing weakness, and the RL90 continues to erode. The easy money is definitely over. We're in the grind now. That's everything for today. We'll get this posted and be ready for them tomorrow.